Advisors, the investment community as a whole, notorious for giving out advice, instruction. We're going to turn the tables and close out 22 with the best lessons the advisors here have had to learn the hard way themselves or have learned from others.
When I think of lessons learned, especially over the past few years, going through a global pandemic, obviously we have a global conflict that's going on right now, and then with the market volatility that we've experienced recently, is just don't sweat the small stuff. I've seen it with myself personally, I've seen it with colleagues and friends, and sometimes even clients, getting really focused in on whether it's little things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, or especially focusing on areas in our life that we truly don't have any control over. I know I talk to clients a lot about, hey, let's focus on those 5 things that we can control. Financially, that's saving, spending, the risk you take, not market returns, but the risk, timing of certain things like major financial purchases or retirement. And then last but not least, what's the money all for in the grand scheme of things? And really, those are the only 5 things in our financial life that we can really control. But that doesn't stop our brain from getting really focused on a lot of other areas that inevitably we're just spinning our wheels because we just don't have the control maybe that we want. So I think those are the biggest lessons that I've learned both recently and that I know I'm going to think about much more front of mind moving forward, is just don't sweat the small stuff. Let's focus on truly what we can control, take a deep breath, and keep moving forward.
Whether it's financial advising, relationships, marriage, all those different type of things. Really what it comes down to is setting appropriate expectations. There's things you can control, there's things you can't control. And sometimes we often just focus on whether it's in relationships or finances in general, especially this year, the market, something you can't control. There's things that you can't control, the emotions about other people. So it's really trying to focus on expectations or things you can control. Whether it's family, spending time with the ones you love, putting your resources or budgeting appropriately. Those are things you can control. And so really when it talks about expectation setting, is really trying to focus on those things that you can control, because I've seen a lot of people in the past focus on things you can't control, and that's where expectation turns and goes awry.
I think the thing that I have learned, and this has probably been a culmination of having to engage in some self-reflection as well as ask advice of people who I know and respect, is taking in the total cost of things. So there's plenty of bad financial decisions or supposedly neutral financial decisions based on what you can afford from a purely dollars and cents standpoint. What I've had to come to learn, in some cases the hard way, is that there are so many other costs that need to be considered. Is there emotional cost to this? Is it going to drain your energy? This decision you're going to make, again, still speaking of financial ones, is it going to be mentally taxing or draining for you? So this could be a place, it could be a hobby, it could be a lot of different things. But again, before you make that decision, it isn't as simple, as important as it is to just look at the dollars and cents, but really, again, look at the total impact that something is going to have to your life. And that's certainly something now I try to embed in my process with clients.
Early on in my career, it's pretty loosey-goosey about scheduling meetings. So just kind of threw it up in the air. How many times a year do you want to meet? And didn't really have a set schedule. And there's a few times you get a little burned on that, in the sense that, hey, maybe I'm a little bit too laid back with regards to setting up normal reviews for clients. And they're like, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. One thing that we've really done, Jake and I specifically, is we set up very rigid schedules, and whether clients want to come in or not, they're going to hear from us. So whether that in whatever capacity that they want to hear from us. So yeah, from learning from past experiences, especially starting out in the industry, you just kind of grow to understand that you can control those minimal amount of things in this industry. So being very rigid about those types of things is mission critical.
One of the things I tell young folks getting into this industry or considering a job in financial advising that I underestimated the most was the amount of emotion that is actually involved in this, right? We're getting into some of the most intimate details of people's lives. And what I learned is that that brings about a little bit of anxiety as an advisor at times. When we see the market drop off 20%, right? We as an advisor are human as well, and we feel all the emotions and feelings that you do. But what we've learned is how to navigate those emotions so that we can best serve our clients and stay in a positive mindset to be able to help you stay the course to be able to navigate these tough markets. And a big part of that is having the team that we have, right? I've got colleagues that I can go and communicate with, that we can reason and come to a logical conclusion as to maybe where we need to go from a portfolio standpoint, and also help me just calm down, because we all go through periods of time where we might be nervous, we might be unsure of what's going to happen, right? And we need a little bit of friendly advice from one of our own to help us get on the straight and narrow. I've gotten a lot better at it over the last decade, but definitely in the early years of my career, I certainly felt an anxiety and a pressure to do well for my clients, which I still feel that in a positive way, but now we've learned to manage that anxiety. So I think that would probably be one of my biggest things that I've learned over the years and been tested on this year especially.
In closing, thank you all for a great 2022. Not only have we gotten lots of times to tighten up those plans and portfolios, you've been tremendously supportive, not only in kind words and loyalty, but in new introductions that's led to another record year of growth for the firm. And of course, what's most near and dear to us is events being back, and so many wonderful memories along the way. Wrapping up just a week ago with our gingerbread making event with upwards of 60 kids coming through the offices here at 10 Capital. We hope you've enjoyed this. As always, we're here both to give and to take any advice that can help us all get to a better place. Happy New Year.